Scattered across Europe and Asia, the most mysterious trucks of World War II didn't end up behind museum glass. They were stranded, forgotten, and quietly reshaped entire landscapes. Some powered Soviet supply lines, others became farm relics, and their vanished stories challenge everything we think we know about what survived after 1945. Why were these engineering marvels left to the elements, and what secrets still linger inside their rusted frames? If hidden history and forgotten machines fire your curiosity, subscribe and join the journey, because the first discovery is just the beginning. On a quiet Belgian farm, the skeleton of a Dodge WC62 still anchors the corner of a greenhouse, its frame welded into the structure decades ago. Built between 1942 and 1945, this 6x6 cargo truck carried a 230 cubic inch inline 6-cylinder engine, pushing out 92 horsepower. Its leaf spring suspension and all-wheel drive made it a workhorse for Allied forces, hauling supplies and soldiers across muddy roads from Normandy to the Ardennes. After the war, thousands of these Dodges were left scattered across Europe. With shortages everywhere, farmers saw opportunity in surplus steel. The flatbed, once loaded with ammunition crates, became a sturdy base for growing tomatoes and cucumbers. Bolted joints and rusted tie-downs now support glass panes instead of canvas tarps. The transformation from battlefield to farmland was not just practical, it was survival. More than 100,000 of these trucks crossed the Atlantic under the Lend-Lease program, and they were vital to Soviet supply lines on the Eastern Front. The Studebaker US6 has a Hercules JD engine, a 5.7-liter inline-6 that delivered about 94 horsepower, and it was built for endurance on roads that barely deserve the name. Soviet drivers called it the Studer, carving their names and routes into dashboards with pocket knives. Some trucks hauled Katyusha rocket launchers, others sacks of wheat, but after the war, most became the backbone of Kolkhoz's life. The Cyrillic marks on the dashboard are a quiet record of hands that steered through blizzards and mud long after the fighting ended. In both Belgium and Siberia, these trucks outlived their military orders. Their frames, engines, and even scars became part of the post-war landscape, shaped by necessity and the ingenuity of those who refused to let anything go to waste. Deep in a Romanian forest, the Mack NO artillery prime mover stands silent, dwarfed by the tree that presses against its cab. The bark has grown thick, bending metal and glass, roots threading beneath the axles. Built between 1943 and 1945, the Mack NO was never meant for stillness. Its 707 cubic inch straight 6-gasoline engine with 159 horsepower once pulled artillery that weighed as much as a small locomotive. Designed for the worst roads in Europe, it hauled 7.5-ton loads through mud and rubble, bridging rivers and dragging howitzers into firing position. The cab's heavy doors, now rusted shut, once shielded crews from shell fire and winter wind. Abandoned after the guns fell silent, the Mack became a landmark for hunters and loggers, a monument to a vanished urgency, its purpose lost while the forest pressed in year by year. Not far away, the Tatra 111 waits inside the ruins of a Slovak sawmill, half buried where boards and sawdust drift across its battered wheels. This truck's story runs longer than most. Introduced in 1942, the Tatra's air-cooled V12 diesel engine, nearly 15 liters in size, delivered up to 210 horsepower, an astonishing figure for its era. What set it apart was the swing axle suspension, a design that let each wheel move independently, flexing across ravines and bomb craters where other trucks would snap or sink. The Tatra 111 carried fuel, timber, and soldiers from the Eastern Front through to the Cold War, with production continuing until 1962. Its frame became the backbone of factories and forests, outlasting the regimes that ordered its creation. Shafts of sunlight cut through broken roof beams, catching the stamped steel of the chassis, evidence of an engineering philosophy that valued endurance above all else. Both the Mack and the Tatra were built for monumental tasks, their scale and innovation a reminder of the extraordinary demands of war. Now, as roots and dust claim their surfaces, these machines remain as time capsules, caught between the world that built them and the silence that followed. In a stone barn on the Scottish coast, the Scammell Pioneer R100 sits silent among firewood and rusted tools. Its Gardner's 6ELW diesel, built for torque, once hauled artillery through mud and craters. Now, the 6x4 drivetrain is locked by dust and straw. Olive paint peeks through gray and red, each layer marking a shift from war to workhorse. Farmers welded racks and patched dents, turning the Scammell into a lifeline for lifting beams and dragging logs, its survival story etched in every scar. South in Tunisia, the M3 half-track lies half-buried at an abandoned airfield. Its white 160AX inline 6, rated at 147 horsepower, is seized with old oil. The hybrid wheel and track setup, once perfect for North Africa's shifting terrain, is stripped of rubber pads and armor. Forensic traces, cargo rack mounts, and welded brackets hint at local attempts to adapt the chassis for hauling water or scrap. Even the sandblasted gauges, numbers barely visible, speak to human hands that kept it running as long as possible. Near the German-Czech border, a Krupp Protze L2H143 stands in a barn-turned-workshop. Its 3.3-liter boxer engine, once 55 horsepower, is partly disassembled. The bay covered by a plank workbench. Built to tow anti-tank guns, it now holds tools and spare parts. Layers of paint and oil stains mark its shift to civilian life, its serial plate nearly unreadable. A fragment of history. On a Hungarian farm, the Sd.Kfz 7 half-tracks Maybach HL62 Tuk engine, once 140 horsepower, now powers a logging tractor. Wehrmacht gray lingers under barn red, each coat a timeline of survival. Farmers bolted new seats and brackets, turning a gun tower into a timber hauler. In a Ukrainian warehouse, the Opel Maultier sits stripped of tracks, its 3.6-liter engine once pushing it through Eastern Front mud. Worn sprockets and empty mounts reveal a chassis repurposed for whatever needed moving. Each faded number on the firewall is a clue to its long journey. At the edge of a quiet Polish lake, reeds sway around the hull of a GMC DUKW, its faded olive paint just visible beneath a drift of algae. This amphibious truck, developed in 1942, was powered by the GMC 270 inline 6, a 4.4-liter engine producing about 91 horsepower. Unlike anything that came before it, the DUKW could drive on land and then roll straight into water. A propeller at the rear and a watertight hull let it ferry troops and supplies from ship to shore. On the Normandy beaches during D-Day, hundreds of DUKWs carried ammunition, wounded men, and even field guns through pounding surf. Its central tire inflation system, controlled from the cab, allowed drivers to adjust pressure for sand, mud, or pavement in seconds, a feature decades ahead of its time. After the war, many DUKWs found new lives far from the front. Some hauled timber or fish across lakes like this one. Others rescued families during floods. The amphibious drive and rugged construction made them indispensable for emergencies long after their military service ended. Even now, the gentle curve of the bow and the battered wheel wells speak to a machine built for both chaos and survival. Every discovery like this comes with responsibility. Before any camera or tool approaches the site, landowner permission must be secured and local authorities notified. Environmental checks for old fuel, oil, or hazardous materials are essential to protect water and wildlife. The DUKW remains untouched, documented only with careful surveys and photographs, preserving its story for those who come next. These trucks are not just relics, they are witnesses, and their resting places deserve respect. Here, water and steel meet in silence. closing the arc from battlefield to lakeshore and reminding us that history endures in the places we least expect. All across Europe and Asia, these silent machines still shape the land, rusting reminders that war's legacy outlives its battles. As restoration and scrap compete for what remains, the line between history and oblivion blurs. What we choose to remember or forget defines the world we inherit. Share your thoughts below.